welcome to our episode 7 of travel segment. So this is our entry number 8 for our 30-30 challenge. So we are almost there, guys. We've got 22 videos more to go. I hope we're gonna make it on the 30th day. But anyway, let's try to continue with our travel segment. I know I was supposed to finish on episode 7 for all 45 countries. However, because I talk too much, guys, we are probably gonna add 1 or 2 more episodes for this segment. So please bear with me. For today, I'm gonna be sharing with you 8 more countries, and I'll try to be quick so I don't bore you. And of course, to be able to have probably the remaining countries tomorrow or just in the remaining 2 more episodes. So let's see 1 or 2 episodes left for this segment. So I think we should start. For the 31st country, it is Switzerland. So Switzerland is one of my bucket lists to actually visit this Mount Titlis and then ride this cable car. So we went back in 2018 January. That was actually our anniversary trip, and yeah, we managed to ride on this revolving Titlis cable car, which is quite nice, and it was snowing, so it was perfect view. The only downside is that the wind was so strong, so we actually stayed in a hotel on top of a mountain, and it was like so you have to take a cable car in order to get to that hotel, and of course from that hotel you will have to take another cable car to get to the peak of the Titlis mountain. So we managed to get to the peak of the Titlis mountain. However, we did not manage to visit the suspension bridge because the wind was so strong, and I think the following day they completely stopped the cable car towards the Titlis peak because of the weather. So that's that for Switzerland. And for our next country, it is Serbia. So Serbia is our 32nd country, and I mean, it's not part of the countries that I want to visit. However, I went there again for work, and I really enjoyed my stay there. They have really lovely people in Serbia, and when you go there, it's all about meat, guys. And I think I would recommend the shopska salad. It's like the very famous salad they had, because every time I have colleagues who comes to Belgrade, they always like want this shopska salad, and I highly recommend it as well. I'm really not a salad person, but this salad is actually quite nice. Apart from the salad, everything is meat and bread. So if you're a meat lover, I think it's a country worth a visit. And again, I've been to Serbia multiple times for work, and this year actually I was there back in January for a business trip, and we did hiking in one of the mountains near Belgrade, and it was amazing. Like, you can just see these trees or branches of the trees which are frozen, and also the grass were frozen, and then you do the hike and the view is just so nice. And I think one thing I cannot forget about this hike is they have this local drink called rakia, and apparently with strangers you can exchange rakia. So basically what happened is that we encountered strangers during this hike, and they were like drinking rakia, and conversation started, and they're like, oh, we also had rakia. So you have to exchange rakia and drink from the same bottle. So I know that maybe some of you guys are not gonna be like, oh, it's stranger, but actually I did try and it was quite nice. It's just amazing that, you know, you get to drink in the same cup or the same bottle with a stranger. And I don't think you can find that, you know, in most of the places, especially in Europe. So I was quite surprised, and that's one experience I cannot forget in Serbia. So that's Serbia for a 32nd country. So for our 33rd country, it is Ukraine. So this is one trip I can never forget as well, because I went there, it was February, and you know, February is winter. It was the first time I've experienced negative 20 degrees, guys. It was snowing almost every day, strong snow, and you can see like the thickness of snow. It's just too much. You know, in London it doesn't snow that much. It snows once in a blue moon, and if it snows, it's not, you know, thick ice. But over there it was just thick ice, and you need to have proper shoes and proper clothing, otherwise, you know, you'll be freezing to death. So the food in Ukraine is quite nice, and it's very cheap, and I was quite surprised as well. So Ukraine is not a very touristic country, I would say. They don't really promote it for tourism purposes, unlike other countries. But I would highly recommend this country as well if you want something different, and you want somewhere cheap. I think Ukraine is actually one of like the great options. And they also have really nice, how do you call this? They have really nice structures as well in the city of Kiev. So one thing I cannot forget in Ukraine was actually getting drunk in a bar. So I did not do anything bad, okay? I was drinking with colleagues, you know. After work, we were trying all this local food, and they were like, oh, you know, when you're in Ukraine, you really have to drink vodka. So I was drinking vodka, and because my colleague were just like offering different kind of vodkas, like you have sweet vodkas, you've got strong vodkas, and you were just like drinking, and on the side you are drinking beer at the same time. So what happened to me is I knocked out. I was sleeping in the bar for 2 hours, and my colleagues were still drinking. But I was fine, guys, because when I woke up, I still managed to go back to my hotel alone. So I sobered up, actually. For our 34th country, guys, oh my God, I'm so excited, and I might talk too much about this, and I'm kinikilig. 34th country is South Korea. Annyeonghaseyo, chingu. Ayan. So, panggawayo. So ayan, guys, I was in South Korea back in 2018. I was actually on a business trip in China, and I was like, okay, I need to go to South Korea. Of course, we want to save money for the plane tickets, because London to South Korea, paying it on your own is too much. So what I did was that after I was planned to go for a business trip in South Korea, and I was like, I'm gonna take some leave after my business trip. So after that business trip, I went to South Korea. So I went to Seoul and then to Busan. So I met, my brother used to work in Busan actually, so he met up with me in Seoul for a couple of nights, and we did hike the Bukhansan mountain. So I was so happy I hiked Bukhansan. What happened actually is that the night I arrived, of course you start drinking and so on. And what our plan was actually to go to Sokcho and hike Sokcho. So there is a mountain in Sokcho that has like a very nice view, and that was the initial plan. But on the first night, we decided to go to Itaewon. Yes, Itaewon class. We decided to go to Itaewon, and we had like drinks there. And you know, because it's the first time we met up, and he was with his friends, so we were just like, okay, drink. And we finished at 3 in the morning. And from China, actually, I was also, you know, partying before traveling to Korea. So I didn't have much sleep, and I was just so tired because I was out in China prior to the South Korean trip. So that was that first night in Korea. Was drinking, finished at 3 in the morning, and we're supposed to go to Sokcho by leaving 5 in the morning. So how can you leave 5 in the morning if you finish drinking at 3? So anyway, I woke up at 8 in the morning and I was like, oh my god, I really need to do hiking. So I really liked hiking already. So I really wanted to do hiking so bad. So I was like, oh, can we just go to Bukhansan? It's nearby. We don't have to travel a couple of hours. So anyway, we went to Bukhansan and I actually reached the Bigondi Peak. So I was so proud I managed to reach Bigondi Peak. It's not a very easy hike, guys, by the way. It was a bit hard. You need to have really like, you know, good shoes in order to go there. And I was so amazed with South Koreans, actually. Like, you know, you have this old people, they're still very active and they still do hiking, and they just hike as if they're walking, and I was like struggling holding on the rails, and these people were just like walking as if they're walking on a normal road. So it was quite amazing. And then we went to Busan. So we went to Busan. We stayed there for 2 nights. I went to Gamcheon village and the beach. What's the name of the beach? Whew. Oh, there you go. So it is Hyundai Beach, guys. So we went to Hyundai Beach as well, and yeah, it was nice. And I tried this tent. You know, in the Korean dramas, I'm not sure if you can connect, but we ate in a tent and drank some soju. So it was quite nice, and I saw a lot of oppas there. Oppas. So yeah, that's that for South Korea. For our 35th country, we have Japan. So after South Korea, actually, I decided to do a side trip in Japan for less than 24 hours, guys. That's how bad I wanted to just visit Japan. It was such a shame that I did not manage to hike the Mount Fuji. It would have been nice. However, I will really have to go back to Japan anyway because 24 hours wasn't enough. So when I was in Japan, what I did is from my hotel, I actually did an urban hike. So I think I hiked for 3 to 4 hours towards the central of Tokyo, where they have all the shopping and then the crossing thing, I don't know what it's called. So I was hiking towards there, and I did not really manage to visit quite a lot of places when I was there. I mean, what could you do in less than 24 hours? I only tried this ramen. Unfortunately, I did not even eat any sushi in Japan, and it was just a shame. I was actually thinking to do it the next day before my flight, to go really early morning to Tsukiji, is it Tsukiji market, and have some sashimi. However, I was just so tired from the previous, you know, happenings from China to South Korea. I was so tired that I woke up late, and yeah, I have to already catch my next flight. One thing I can never forget in Japan is actually the experience from getting to the airport. So literally, I have, I think it takes an hour by this fast train to the airport, or even less than an hour. So I actually have 2 hours before my flight, and I still did not get on the train. And when I got on the train, I was thinking, oh, that should be okay. The train will take less than an hour, and then when I get there, I have an hour left to check in and get to my gate. However, during this train journey, there's an earthquake. So the train was really slowing down and stopping at the same time, and I was so worried that, oh my god, my flight, I'm gonna miss my flight. And when I got to the airport, I had 30 minutes left before my flight, and I have to check in my luggage because I bought some knives for my husband. And yeah, 30 minutes, I was just so worried I'm gonna miss my flight and I have to pay again and so on. And Anyway, 30 minutes guys, I managed to check in my luggage. So normally some international flights are too strict, but I was so surprised with how fast you could get from check-in to your gate in Japan. There's no queue to pass immigration, and everything just went smoothly. So 30 minutes was enough for me to check in my luggage and get to my gate. And I was actually able to buy souvenirs like the Japanese chopsticks in the airport before my flight. So yeah, it was a really nice experience. But hopefully someday again, I will be able to go and hike Mount Fuji. So that's that for Japan, guys. For our next country, we have Malta. So Malta is one of the European countries. So I visited with my husband back in 2018 as well. So we went there for a couple of days, and yeah, it was quite nice. We went to this Popeye village, and then they also have this Blue Lagoon in Malta. It was nice. The only thing we missed is actually visit the Game of Thrones place in Malta. I think they have this citadel where they shoot Game of Thrones, and we did not manage to visit that. So yeah, unfortunately. But yeah, overall I think Malta is nice, and I think you will be able to enjoy the beach, and of course the food. I think we tried quite different food. I mean, they're you know, they're like a very small country, and most of their food is mainly seafood. But we actually tried, I think they're famous for this rabbit. So they serve this rabbit thing in one of their local restaurants. So we did try the rabbit. So I think if ever you visit Malta, you can try rabbit as well. So that's for our 36th country, and for our 37th country, it is Egypt. So I'm not sure if you've seen, I have like a 30-second video in Egypt, because I went there for work, and I did not really plan to do sightseeing in Egypt. Because I think, you know, it was just like a very quick business trip. But my colleague actually arranged the driver. So before I go to the airport to catch my flight back to London, my colleague actually arranged the driver to bring me to the pyramids of Giza to see it. So that was quite cool actually, guys. And I never thought, because I'm not really a person who likes to see all this, you know, architecture, like famous architecture. So I'm not really into that. Sometimes if it's very accessible, then yes. But if it's not accessible, where, you know, in Egypt, it's quite hard to take the public transportation, especially if you're a lady. And my colleagues would warn me that, you know, you always need to take the company driver with you if ever you're in Egypt. So we didn't really take any public transportation. The driver would normally pick me up from my hotel, bring me to our office, and then from our office back to the hotel. So good thing that, you know, they have been flexible, and they managed to arrange this side trip for me in the pyramids of Giza. And when I got there, it was a bit of like, wow. There was a wow factor. Like for me, you know, when prior to that, I was like, oh, it's just, you know, a structure, pyramid of Giza, like, you know, I'm not really interested. But when I was there, it was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like, this thing looks amazing. And I don't know for some reason why I felt that. And yeah, I think for you guys who are visiting Egypt, this pyramid of Giza is worth a visit. Other than that, I did not really manage to explore. I did see River of Nile, of course, the longest river in the world. And they actually do party. They have this boat party as well in River Nile, but of course I was working, didn't really have time to party, especially that, you know, sometimes it really depends on the colleagues. So when I was in Egypt, no party. We only had dinner near the River Nile, and that's pretty much it. But yeah, I think overall the Pyramid of Giza made my work trip a worth what? Like, huh? The this Pyramid of Giza made my trip worth it. So that's Egypt, guys, for our 37th country. Now for our 38th country and our last country for this episode, we have Norway. So similar to Egypt, I have another 30-second video about Norway, guys. It's more of a teaser, and this trip actually I went because it was one of my bucket list where I have to hike and stand on a rock stuck in between two cliffs. So I'm not sure if you've seen my teaser video about that, but that's my only goal why I needed to go to Norway, and I accomplished it. It was scary, guys. So you have to hike for 2 to 3 hours to go to that Bolten, the rock stuck between two cliffs, and standing there was scary. Like, it was really scary. And as you can see on my video, I was actually crawling towards, like, on top of the stone, and I had to like really climb slowly up, and I tried to look down. My knees like were shaken, and I'm trying to like not look down in order to, you know, do a pose, a proper pose while they're taking video or video and photo of me. And after that, I really have to sit down already because I couldn't anymore. Like, my legs were really shaking. It was scary. I actually did it twice because the first one, they didn't take a proper photo of me, and I was like, I need to have a proper one. So I have to climb back up again and do the pose. So, but yeah, it was amazing. I actually stayed in an accommodation near this Lisboten. I don't know how to pronounce it, and it was quite amazing. We hired this motorboat, and yeah, we just did this cruising on Lisboten. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. And the water looks really nice. So yeah, I think that's that for Norway. I hope you guys enjoyed the photos or videos in this episode. I tried to actually squeeze all my words. I hope I did not talk too much. So that's 38 countries out of 45, guys, and we have 7 countries remaining. Hopefully we'll be able to cover that on our next episode. So join me on our last or second to the last episode of our travel segment tomorrow. Alright guys, thank you for watching, and saranghae everyone!